Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Friday to you, Michael Patrick Shields. And did I hear the Spartans won last night, the Spartan basketball team? Yeah, that's a relief. We'll have the full story coming up later. I think the men's and the women's team both beat Penn State yesterday, so we'll talk about that going forward. And much, much more. First off, the President of the United States was in Michigan yesterday. You know that by now. He was in Marquette, President Obama, promoting his high-tech agenda. And it was during an appearance at Northern Michigan University that the president touted gains in broadband access, and he went ahead and unveiled proposals to greatly expand high-speed wireless internet service.
This isn't just about faster internet or being able to find a friend on Facebook. It's about connecting every corner of America to the digital age.
And that was a corner of America, too. Marquette, the president linked the plan to sweeping infrastructure upgrades he says are necessary for us to stay competitive with China and India in the global economy. The president acknowledged a need to eliminate unnecessary spending and reduce deficits, but he argued the nation's future can't be sacrificed in budget cuts.
By selling private companies the rights to these airwaves, we won't just encourage private investment and expand wireless access. We're actually going to bring in revenues that lower our deficits.
We'll talk with the president of Northern Michigan University, Les Wong, who was with President Obama yesterday, and find out what that experience was like for that town. And we're going to reach out to the mayor, too, of Marquette and chat with him this morning at 9 minutes after the hour. Joanne Paul is in for Gary Austin with this morning's news, and we will sit back and take notes. Joanne, good morning.
Good morning. There are a lot fewer deer roaming around in Mount Pleasant today. That's after the latest deer cull in the city. About 20 deer were shot and killed in this latest project. A similar one was held back in February. The deer removal was called for after complaints they were destroying property, spreading disease, and causing a traffic hazard for motorists. The areas were shut down to the public and were not readily visible areas. The Michigan Sportsmen Against Hunger group will be organizing the effort to get the donated venison to area churches and needy residents. Apparently in Michigan, failing to report a death and just letting that body lay there is not a criminal offense. But if a Grand Rapids woman gets her way, it will be. The woman wants changes in the law after discovering her mother, dead for 5 days, was left in the apartment she shared with her boyfriend, and no one reported the death. Kent County prosecutors say while the action is morally offensive, failing to report a non-criminal death in Michigan is not illegal. West Michigan with a new attraction, the Gun Lake Casino. The facility opening its doors with hundreds turning out, expecting thousands over the weekend. The casino is opening despite threats still of efforts to shut it down. A lawsuit has been filed by a Wayland Township trustee who says the government's decision to take the land near US 131 was not right. The Pistons may have a new owner, and he's a real grassroots guy. According to the Detroit Free Press, Los Angeles financier Tom Gores and Pistons primary owner Karen Davidson have agreed to a tentative $420 million deal. Gores grew up in Flint and is a graduate of Michigan State University. He's the founder and chairman of the Platinum Equity and is estimated to be worth about $2.2 billion. The sale will have to be approved by the NBA, but that could be coming down as early as today. With this news update, I'm Joanne Paul in for Gary Austin. Now back to Michael Patrick Shields.
11 minutes after the hour, protesters in Egypt are hoping a huge demonstration today is going to get the message across to President Hosni Mubarak to step down. If he hasn't got the message by now, can they really be hopeful that he will? I don't know. They should have a good crowd today, though. It's a weekend. The weekend starts on Friday in the Middle East, and so we'll stay tuned for gripping photographs from Egypt on television. Jennifer Hudson, the Academy Award-winning actress, Grammy Award-winning actress. You know that I met her a couple weeks ago on that Disney ship. She has broken her silence over the shooting deaths of 3 members of her family back in 2008. It was an interview with Oprah Winfrey. And she said the shock and the sadness over the murders of her mother, brother, and 7-year-old nephew weighed heavily on her. Obviously, it would. Her mother, brother, and nephew were living in Chicago with her sister at the time of their deaths, and since the tragic accident, her sister's estranged husband has been arrested and charged with the murders. And so Oprah, who is in her last lap, her last year of the broadcast, it's going to end, I guess, in September, isn't it? Really seems to be hitting some home runs with some big-name celebrities, and obviously Jennifer Hudson, who has family, she told me, in Michigan. would be close with Oprah. They both had called Chicago home. The NFL worked toward a new collective bargaining agreement between the players and the Players Association has been punctuated by the lack of progress, and the probable lockout is drawing near. Say it isn't so. Tell me that the NFL is not going to go on strike. The most successful, well, if you don't count soccer, the NFL is in America is the most successful sports franchise, and it's America's game. I mean, they used to say baseball is America's pastime, but the NFL now, wow. And players are telling ESPN that talks broke down after the Players Association suggested a 50% revenue sharing plan, and the owners walked away. They said 50% is too much. The talks planned for next week also put off. One of the other issues they're talking about is an 18-game expanded regular season and the amount of money rookies can make and benefits for the players after they retire. Those are pretty much what it all is boiling down to in the NFL. They want 50% of the revenue. If you own a team, in other words, you got to share 50% with the NFL players, the guys who are out there leaving their teeth and bones on the field. Is 50% too much? I mean, would you have a product if you didn't have the players? And, well, really, if you had replacement players, would you care? Maybe you would. I hope they come to some sort of agreement, but it seems to me the NFL and the owners are far, far apart at this stage. And isn't it March that the contract will wrap up? Stay tuned. We do not want to lose the NFL. Ferrari officials, remember you heard yesterday on this program that they were in a fight with the Ford Motor Company over the F-150 brand. I guess Formula One Racing wanted to name one of their cars F-150, and Ford says, you can't do that. We have a truck, the F-150. So Ferrari is going to alter the name of their Formula One racing car, and they're going to change it. And it seems like a silly thing. It seems like it could have been avoided. But the full name of the vehicle is Ferrari F-150 Italia. And the reason they named it that, it's in honor of the 150th anniversary of Italy's unification. And F-150 was just an abbreviation. So we have more important things to worry about, of course, than fancy sports cars and letters and such. But anyway, that's what's happening. So Ford stared down the mighty Ferrari and won. Pistons might have a new owner. You heard Joanne Paul say that the Los Angeles financier Tom Gores, he is really going to be the sole negotiator now with Karen Davidson, the Pistons' primary owner, and it looks like they've agreed to a $420 million deal. Now, you say Tom Gores is coming in from California, but he grew up in Flint, graduated from Michigan State University. He's the founder and chairman of Platinum Equity, and he's worth an estimated $2.2 billion. So, $420 million, soon or later you're talking about real money. That sale's going to have to be approved by the NBA, but it looks like they might announce it today. And that's fantastic news. We will get more of your morning's news coming shortly on Fox 47 television and on the Michigan Talk Network. It's Michael Patrick Shields. We'll be back very, very shortly. We welcome you to this Friday morning. Dave Coulier will join us. Dave Coulier from Full House and grew up in Michigan and be here in our storefront studio with us. Stay tuned for that. 22 minutes after the hour, Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. Very glad to have you with us. We'll have the update on Michigan State University's game last night. Also, the Pebble Beach tournament is taking place, and so that's always fun on the PGA Tour. And in Dubai, that's where Tiger is. He's not at Pebble Beach. He's in Dubai. So no worries about those guys. They're having at least good weather. But how are they doing on the golf course? We'll find out coming shortly. Jordan McCarlton, our production assistant, is getting that together because he's a golf coach in real life. And so we'll get you that update, too. And the Spartan women's basketball team played yesterday. So I think it's curious because the women played against Penn State and the men did, too, and they were both winners yesterday. So we'll hear more about that coming up. Threats to the nation's security, I'm sorry to tell you this morning, are the greatest they've been since the 2001 terrorist attacks. That's what intelligence experts told a House panel yesterday, including Congressman Mike Rogers, who's chair of the House Intelligence Committee. The director of the National Counterterrorism Center says it's not that we're looking at one specific threat. that brings the threat level to an elevated level. It's that we face geographically, ideologically, organizationally, a different set of threats, which is the greatest ever in its complexity that we've faced since 9/11. So I'm sorry to break that news to you as you wake up this morning, but it's a dangerous time. So it would seem in the United States of America when it comes to terrorism. Michigan's new Attorney General, Bill Schuette, says the state's medical marijuana law is being exploited by those who are really making a mockery of laws across the state of Michigan. The law, as you know, was intended to aid people going through an incurable illness or a very difficult disease, and he said it's being used by people who want to effectively legalize marijuana in the state of Michigan. And the bill is poorly crafted, loosely written, and he's confident that the new legislature is going to work to correct that law. And we'll talk with him about that coming up. Donald Trump, you heard yesterday on this program, was talking about his interest in running for president. He's going to decide by June whether the Donald will be able to put the Trump name on the White House. He may actually run for president. He was there yesterday at this conference in Washington with a bunch of other potential presidential candidates, and he said the United States is becoming the laughingstock of the world. And sounded very much like a candidate. He had quips and jabs. And would anybody take the Donald seriously? I don't know, but he's enjoying the limelight. He's pretty good at that, isn't he? If the publication 24/7 Wall Street is to be believed, Michigan is getting dumber. It's published a study called 10 States Running Out of Smart People, and Michigan's second on the list. The only state doing worse is Colorado, with all the ski bums, I guess. But the states were picked based on the lowest education achievement and job levels compared to the other 40. Reading and math scores in 2003 and 2009, all the way in between there, were used. And so are we losing all of our smart people? I don't know. I take offense to that, don't you? I'm still here. I don't know. That must mean I'm dumb. We'll dig more into that study and find out exactly what they're going after there. But Colorado and Michigan in a tough spot. The State House has approved moving $10 million away from the 21st Century Jobs Fund. You know what they're going to do with it? They're going to pay for the Pure Michigan tourism ads. The vote was 95-13, so it was overwhelming. And Governor Snyder said he'll sign the bill if it passes the Senate. The budget for Pure Michigan has been very popular over the last several years, the ad campaign, and they just want to make sure it's funded up to $25 million a year. And it almost ended last year. It came right down to the wire. But it's a tough time to ask for money in Lansing. No question about that. Speaking of money, the Dow lost 10 points, and the S&P rose 1 point, and the NASDAQ gained 1 point as stock traders are trying to figure out what happened to the Apple crash. On Thursday, the Apple stock was cruising near an all-time high of $360 a share through the morning, but at about 1 o'clock, the price started to fall. And within the hour, $10 billion was removed from Apple's value. And the Wall Streeters are saying there was no news to cause that drop, although there was a rumor that Steve Jobs, the head of Apple, was hospitalized again. So we will talk with Jamie Westenbarger from Forest Hills Financial in Grand Rapids coming up shortly, because why would that happen? That sounds like something out of the movie Wall Street, doesn't it? Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is no longer governor of California, says, I'll be back, and he means it. He's given the green light to his agent to start looking for movies again. He's 63 years old, and let's face it, he like Sylvester Stallone and all those tough guys are going back on the screen. Arnold Schwarzenegger wants a piece of the action. Elton John says Billy Joel hates him at the moment. It was an interview with the Today Show. Elton John said Matt Lauer, and he's friends, Elton John is, with Billy Joel, but he thinks that Billy Joel's mad at him for talking about his alcohol abuse in a Rolling Stone article. And Elton John has his own troubles with substance abuse, but he was speaking out about how he's tried to help Billy Joel, and he's had his struggles with him. But if you've ever seen the two of them perform together, it's really a heck of a show. Can you imagine those two? I saw them a few years ago at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and it was fantastic. We never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note. Tina Louise is 77. You know who I'm talking about? Ginger on Gilligan's Island. And so you're in between. You like Marianne, you like Ginger. It's the age-old question. Happy birthday to Tina Louise. She's 77 today. And the Grammy Award-winning singer Sheryl Crow is 49. And Jennifer Aniston from Friends and all those other movies, she's a favorite of the governor's chief of staff, Dennis Muchmore. So maybe Dennis Muchmore will be sending Jennifer Aniston a birthday card today. She's 42. Bruce Almighty was one of her movies, Picture Perfect, and of course best known for her appearance on Friends. Happy birthday, darlings, to all of you. Speaking of beautiful women and serious women, Dana Perino, who was a spokesperson for President Bush, is in Michigan for the MPLP event in Grand Rapids. And Dave Jaconet from WJRW in Grand Rapids is with her right now in person there, and he's going to have an interview with Dana. Good morning, Dave. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Michael. Just fine here in Grand Rapids, and we're getting ready for a nice breakfast for the Michigan Political Leadership Conference here. They had the dinner last night with Mike McCurry and Dana Perino, and Dana Perino is here with me right now. Dana, thanks for joining us here all across the statewide network on Michael Patrick Shields in the Morning.
I'm glad to be here. I love getting up early in the morning and getting my day started off right.
Well, first of all, we've got, of course, breaking news going on in Egypt. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts about what is going on there. And we thought that that Hosni Mubarak would be out of office. The president almost implied that. How did this happen that he's still there and so many people got that wrong?
Well, I hope that we all live long enough to read the history of this time, because I think that this will take a while to sort out. I mean, it wasn't just our CIA and then our president who got it wrong, but it seemed to me that there might have been some misinformation being deliberately put out by the Egyptians yesterday, though the Minister of Information, as he's called, there was questions as to whether or not he even would have the information. Now, from my experience, having seen him operate as a director of communications, so to speak, for the Egyptians, I have every reason in the world to believe that he would have been in the loop, but everything is so chaotic there now that I don't know what will happen when the mosques let out today, this afternoon. Some people expect for there to be explosive protests. I hope that is not the case, but this is something that the United States, once again, realizes that it can't control outcomes, especially when it comes to new technologies that are fueling revolutions.
When you're kind of in the eye of the storm there, especially when events are beyond control, as a White House wartime press secretary, what is the key to get information to the reporters all across the country who want to get the information to the public?
I think one of the things that Mike McCurry and I both talked about last night is that responsibility rests on the communicators, meaning the press people, reporters, and the communicators that are giving the information, to try to slow down a little bit and make sure things are accurate. And the pressure to respond quickly in a 24/7 news cycle is immense. And it takes a strong stomach to be able to tell a reporter, I'm working on it. I know you need this. I know your editors are screaming at you. If you could just assure them that I am working on this and that as soon as I have it, I will pass it directly to you. That helps soothe things a little bit. Now, if you get something wrong and you have to then correct it, that makes for a different dynamic. So you want to make sure that what you're passing on is accurate.
You have to have a very close relationship, obviously, with the president. He has to trust you. You have to trust him because you're taking the message out to the public. What was it like for you and George W. Bush?
I think that was probably the most rewarding thing about working as the press secretary. It wasn't all the bells and whistles, of course, getting to travel the world, and especially seeing Africa with him. Those are wonderful things, but the best outcome that I had as press secretary was that at the end of it, I felt that he knew the loyalty that I had brought to the job, and now we are also friends. And he trusts me, and I trust him, and partly that's because I was willing to give him the bad news. I didn't blow smoke, and believe me, we had plenty of bad news to spread around,
sure.
And everybody remembers that. But I do feel like he was principled, and I knew where he was coming from, and I felt that I could articulate for him what he was trying to do for the country.
When you read his book, and I'm sure you did what he wrote kind of jibe with your recollections?
Yes, largely. There were some things I hadn't known because I really wasn't intimately involved in the White House in the early years of the administration. I was at the Justice Department. So I didn't know him, and I didn't know a lot of the personal things about his early life and his childhood. I did read the book. In fact, I read it 4 times. But the only reason is because I did the media tour for the book, and so I was reading it to find the little nuggets that I thought reporters would find interesting. Also, any news nuggets that could come out of the book, and there were many.
What are you doing now?
I have the privilege of being a Fox News contributor now, so I'm on the sidelines. I'm not working in politics per se. I'm analyzing politics, which I love. I'm also got a little small business, Dana Perino and Company, for lack of a more creative name. I have a couple of clients that I do some strategic communications advice for. I do some speaking like this. And also, I was very privileged to be nominated by President Obama and confirmed by the United States Senate for the Broadcasting Board of Governors, which is a board that oversees all of our international broadcasting like Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, and Radio Free Asia, and the Middle East Broadcasting Network, which, so for the last 3 weeks, as our journalists there have been working so hard to bring the news to all of us, that's been a real privilege, and it's a way that allows me to continue to serve as well.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Hey,
Michael?
Dave, that was fantastic there, hanging around with big shots in Grand Rapids at the MPLP event, like Dana Perino, who was the mouthpiece for George Bush when he was president, as you say, a wartime press secretary. Very interesting. She was in Livonia yesterday and is in Grand Rapids today. We're across the state all morning with you. It's Michael Patrick Shields. 20 minutes before the hour, there are lots of friends across mid-Michigan who are in pain today and across the entire state from an unbelievably tragic story that took place last week. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. We've been talking about it since it happened. Dana Cromer is here from Fox 47. She's a senior account executive. She is getting more involved, though, than many and having a benefit. Can you just remind us what happened and why you're involved and what we can do?
Okay. I don't know all of the details, but there was a car accident, I think it's almost 2 weeks ago now. 5 teenagers from Holt were involved. 2 were, I believe, killed that night, and one, Anthony Harris, passed away a few days later. Mm-hmm. It is all over the news. What I'm doing is I've put together a benefit for the family of Anthony Harris. I know his mother. I know she worked 2 jobs for a long time to make ends meet. I knew that medical bills and memorial costs would be quite overwhelming. There are a lot of different fundraisers, but I've put together a mom-to-mom sale, and it's tomorrow.
What's a mom-to-mom sale?
Glad you asked. I've done one before. It's actually a very popular way to sell some of your used baby and child items, like cribs and high chairs and clothes. So basically, it's moms putting a bunch of stuff together, kind of like a yard sale, if you will, and bringing it all together, and then it's marketed to other moms and grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, and they come and buy it. It's a great way to get things if you're on your 2nd or 3rd child and you got rid of some things, mm-hmm. or grandma and grandpa want a high chair at their house. So that's basically what it is, and we're actually going to have a few items for people who aren't necessarily moms, like espresso makers and clothes for women and things like that, too.
Where and when will this be?
Okay. It's going to be downtown Lansing at the Educational Child Care Center. It's on Main Street, 1715 Main Street, mm-hmm. Just west of Martin Luther King Boulevard. It's it's the old Main Street School. The doors open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be there until at least noon. It's free to get in. So that's where it is and when it is.
This is a dumb question, but how is Mrs. Harris holding up?
You know what? I've talked to her. She is one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. She has a deep faith in God. I think she's been quoted quite often in the news, and I think she's doing the best she can under these circumstances. There's
no real answer to that question,
No.
because it's something that you live with for the rest of your life.
Right.
I think that from what I understand, psychologically speaking, there's no greater pain than losing a child.
I think it's every mother, father's greatest fear, nightmare. Mm-hmm.
It's from 8 a.m. until noon, Saturday the 12th, the Mom to Mom sale. It'll benefit the family of Anthony Harris. It's at the Educational Child Care Center. That's at 1715 West Main Street in Lansing. And if you're listening anywhere around the state, you know that this story has been dominating the news, and it's a tough one, no question about it. 5 kids in a car accident. They'd come from a party. There are legal ramifications, but the worst of it all is that 3 of them are no longer with us because of this accident. And so there will be sort of the 1,000 points of light, the people like you who will say, I've got to do something.
Right.
I want to do something. I want to do it right now. And this is one of those. So we thank you very much for that.
Right.
And thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Dana Cromer from Fox 47, and there is you can go mom to mom at ec3kids.org, or you can go to ec3kids.org. That's the number 3, ec3kids.org. We'll post it on our website, too. So if you go to michigantalknetwork.com, under the podcasts, you'll see the time and the place and the web address where you can attend and get involved. It's 44 minutes after the hour. Right now, Michael Patrick Shields heard all across the state of Michigan. Dave Coulier will be with us a little bit later. Yeah, the guy from Full House. He's originally from Michigan, and he's in the state this weekend performing. And so we'll catch up here in the Gillespie Group storefront studio with Dave Coulier. Spartans yesterday, 75-57 win over Penn State. They're 14-10 now. Michigan State's basketball team 6-6 in the Big Ten. Yesterday, D.A. Points had the lowest score at the Pebble Beach National Pro-Am, and he had Bill Murray as his partner. You got to believe Bill Murray is some degree of distraction to a PGA Tour player because it's the National Pro-Am, and they have a lot of fun, and Bill Murray is known for really whooping it up out there. Didn't hurt D.A. Points, though. He shot 63 on the PGA Tour, and it was one of those splendid days at Pebble Beach. Brilliant sunshine, accentuating the contrast of green turf and blue surf. Right there, the greatest meeting of land and sea, as they say, in the PGA Tour. The mild breeze made what is often a 6-hour round in that Pro-Am bearable because the celebrities are there, and it's a lot of amateurs, too. So it's a very slow pace, and those guys aren't really used to that. Tiger Woods was on the other side of the world at the Dubai Desert Classic, and well, that's happened while you slept. He shot a bogey-free 6 under 66. He's back in contention for his first tournament victory in more than a year, and it could happen there in the United Arab Emirates. He sank 6 birdies to reach 7 under for the tournament. He's within 3 shots of the second-round leader, Thomas Aiken of South Africa. Rory McIlroy from Northern Ireland dropped a stroke on the second hole. He was back at 7 under with the birdie on the 7th. That's all taking place in Dubai. Actually, right now at the United Arab Emirates. And the NFL is closer to a lockout. Labor talks have broken down. They were meeting in Washington, D.C., and it's not going well. Will we be without the NFL next year? Cross our fingers and hope not. It's 14 before the hour. Michael Patrick Shields back in a flash. Well, everybody loves Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson from the Dreamgirls movie came on the scene on American Idol. Didn't win, but ended up winning the Academy Award and the Grammy Award. And Jennifer Hudson's originally from Chicago and really very, very, very popular. And I had the good fortune to meet her aboard the Disney Dream ship a few weeks ago. And Jennifer Hudson is now breaking her silence over the shooting deaths of 3 family members back in 2008. It was on Oprah Winfrey yesterday that Jennifer Hudson said the shock and the sadness over the murders of her brother, her mother, and her 7-year-old nephew really weighed heavily on her.
How were you able to get through that time?
Well, my family.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's a very emotional subject, so.
I know.
My baby.
Mm-hmm.
And God.
And God. Mm-hmm.
She said, too, that she believed her deceased loved ones wouldn't want her to waste too much time on tears. Hudson's
I can hear them saying to me, Jenny, knock it off. Like right now, my mama be fussing at me. Why you always crying? Stop crying. I can't stand when you get out there and sing and you start crying.
Yes, this is worth crying about.
Or my brother telling me, Jenny, knock it off. You got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she wouldn't want them wasting time on tears is what she's saying. Hudson's mother, her brother, and her nephew, well, they were living in Chicago together with her sister, Julia Hudson, at the time of their deaths. And Julia's estranged husband, William Balfour, has been arrested and charged with the murders. Jennifer Hudson also talked about her recent weight loss during her interview with Oprah. There was some trepidation, though. Her Weight Watchers counselor was looking on. Jennifer Hudson is 29 years old, and she admitted to Oprah she's lost a lot of weight.
I want to share it. I do, because I'm not ashamed of it. Yes. And I really want to tell it. I might, get fussed at for this, but
But you're Jennifer Hudson.
I lost. Hold on. I've lost 80 pounds. 80 pounds.
She looks terrific. She did before anyway, but now she's lost 80 pounds, and she was on yesterday with Oprah. And you see her on the Weight Watchers commercials, too. You can see my pictures with Jennifer Hudson, if you like, at MichiganTalkNetwork.com. Spent a few minutes with her, and she talked about her family in Michigan and that sort of thing. Go to MichiganTalkNetwork.com and check out those shots if you like. It's 6 minutes before the hour. This is Jennifer Hudson. We do love you, Jennifer Hudson. And speaking of other celebrities who are having a tough time, Elton John was on the Today Show with Matt Lauer. And Elton John says Billy Joel hates him at the moment. Why does Billy Joel hate Elton John? Well, the singer told Matt Lauer that his friend and frequent touring partner is mad at him for discussing his alleged alcohol abuse in a recent Rolling Stone article, and I guess we'll hear that audio coming up a little bit later. Cheryl Freeborough from Hyundai of Lansing. I am test driving right now. Pretty nice car. It's right out in front of here of our Gillespie Group storefront studio. I'm enjoying it very much, but you can have it. It's a 2008 Chevy Trailblazer. And brand new, that's $30,000. She's selling it for only $18,795. It's got about 30,000 miles on it, black exterior, and just a deliciously fun car. You can get it for lower than Blue Book value at Hyundai of Lansing, wherever you are in the state. They'll even deliver it to you if you want it. It's Hyundai of Lansing. And today from 1 o'clock until 4:45, if you happen to be in the Grand Ledge area, they're a blood drive at Hyundai of Lansing, and so you can get an oil change for only $14.95, and there'll be sort of a party atmosphere, sort of refreshments and that kind of thing. From 1 o'clock till 4:45 today at Hyundai of Lansing, get an oil change for $14.95. Now, that's as cheap as you're going to get it anywhere. You can have a little fun and do a little shopping while you're over there, too. That's today. Meanwhile, the Inforum Group, I will be speaking at the University Club on February 23rd. That's a Wednesday. And the Inforum Club is a professional women's alliance. You've heard of them. They're all over the state. And they're having a luncheon featuring me, if you can believe that. It's all about my book, Invite Yourself to the Party, which you can get now at Amazon.com. Or inviteyourselftotheparty.com. But if you want to come to this Inforum luncheon, we're going to have lunch, have a speech, have a little fun. Believe me, it's not heavy duty. It's lighthearted. And you can go to inforummichigan.org, and you can get that information, too, at michigantalknetwork.com or at my Facebook page, Michael Patrick Shields. Invite yourself to the party and come to the University Club on February 23rd from 11:30 until 1:30. Tickets are $40, and you can get a table of 8 for $4.50, and we're going to have a good time. Chasing away this frigid winter, Dave Coulier will be with us next hour, and we're going to talk to Congressman Bill Huizenga from West Michigan. There are some people who are being very critical of the fact that he sleeps on his couch in Washington, D.C., just like Congressman Hoekstra did. Why are they being critical? And should he consider getting a pad in Washington instead of crashing on the couch? We'll talk about that, too. And Les Wong, who was with the President of the United States yesterday, he's the president of Northern Michigan University. He'll join us shortly, too. It's Michael Patrick Shields on Friday. Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Friday, thank goodness. Or thank God, if you prefer. It's Friday, and it's Michael Patrick Shields. We are having a little Friday fun here in the studio. Captain Kirk Squires is going to join us for the next hour. Nice to see you here in the Gillespie Group storefront studio.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
And Nikki Hale, our world correspondent, is here too. Good to see you.
Good morning.
How would you describe Captain Kirk to the listeners who can't watch us right now on Fox 47?
Oh gosh, how would I describe Captain Kirk?
Yeah,
yeah, hot, of course.
Is he
right
hot?
Next to me.
He's not hot, is he?
Well, yes.
Is he?
Of course, yes.
Hot or not?
Very handsome gentleman.
But describe him. How does he? What does he look like?
He has one of the best sense of humor that I know.
But that's not what he looks like.
No, but you know when you see Captain you know when you see him because he's always got his hat on. So whenever I go to Dusty's, I just go.
Who's got the hat?
And I see the hat, and I'm like, oh, he's here.
It's the way you wear your hat.
And you always get a hug, which is lovely.
He's got glasses, a beard, not a big beard, just a kind of a thing. And he's wearing a blazer and a hat, like a Frank Sinatra sort of hat.
Yeah, well,
looks nice.
We're expecting an old friend of mine today, so I thought I'd.
Dave Coulier is your buddy.
Dave Coulier was going to be here.
Did you watch him, Nikki? He was on what was that show, Full House? You watch that show?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't in
around.
America at the time.
No, I've heard of it though.
He's charming fella. Here's the theme, I guess, to Full House. I wanted to say, too, that this is Jennifer Aniston's birthday today. She's 42 years old, from the show Friends and all those other movies. And the reason I mention it is that Dennis Muchmore, who is the chief of staff for Governor Snyder, has a big crush on Jennifer Aniston.
I think half of the population, male population.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
The United States have a crush on Jennifer Aniston.
Well,
yeah, what's that movie where she's walking naked through Vince Vaughn's playing a video game?
Oh, yeah, The Breakup.
Yeah,
they shot that in Chicago. Anyway, happy birthday to Jennifer Aniston at 42, and I suppose you may get flowers from Dennis Muchmore today if he's got a chance. He's pretty busy with the governor there. So we're going to have a little fun today. Well, let's bring in Congressman Bill Huizenga, who's probably listening right now saying, what have I gotten myself into here? I'm a United States Congressman now. I can't be fooling around like this with that guy. How are you, sir? Bill Huizenga, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Thank you very much. Where do we find you this morning?
I'm in Washington, yes.
All right. Now, we understand there is some criticism. In all seriousness, there are some people saying that you and 33 other members of the U.S. House have been sleeping on your couch in Washington. It's a tradition. Congressman Hoekstra did it before you, and Tim Walberg is one of those that do it, too, in Michigan. Hanson Clark's been doing it, too. And there's the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, and they're saying that the Capitol building is not a dorm or a frat house, and, you ought to maybe get yourself a pad somewhere. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I figure anytime I'm ticking off a George Soros-sponsored organization, it's a good thing. So, NPS, guilty as charged, Dutchman. If you can control your own personal expenses, maybe people will actually trust you with theirs.
Well, I mean, how much first of all, what's it like to sleep in the Capitol building?
Actually, there's a number of people that do it. Last night would be a perfect example. I got back from an event with it's about 10. My chief of staff actually was there yet. We ended up talking till about 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
I went over some paperwork, shut my light off at about midnight, went off at 6 this morning, and I've been working out and getting ready for the day. And we rarely spend time here. I mean, you're out doing things. You're out either at a function or a dinner of some sort. You're meeting people, spending time with constituents, and it's. I think it's much ado about nothing, but and we've been assured that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it as far as house rules and all those things. So,
and you're home.
It's somebody trying to stir the pot.
You're home just about every weekend anyway, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so you literally sleep on the couch. You turn out the light. Do you watch? Do you have television? I mean, is it like having an apartment once all the staff is gone? And do you feel safe there?
Oh, I mean, we're surrounded by security. There's certainly only time that you're going to be potentially even disturbed is if someone's coming in and vacuuming the office. We've got our own, my own office, and I mean, it's. I don't have a refrigerator. I don't have any of that kind of stuff. It's not a dorm. It's certainly not a frat house. Nobody's around enough, and it's just it's a place to temporarily lay your head and get to work.
So what happens if you wake up, in the middle of the night, you're thirsty, you want to get something to drink? You don't even have a refrigerator?
No, but we've got a little half bath in the office. Each of the offices has a half bath.
Okay.
And so it's not like we have to run out to the outhouse. It's, we actually have modern technology here.
And do you have a do not disturb sign you can hang out on the door so that the vacuum person doesn't come and wake you up?
Yep. Just got a little sign that we tape up on the door, and It's all good.
And then in the morning, you go down to the house gym and work out and shower and get dressed and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And so it's, I have graduated. I'm 6'1", so I'm a little too long for Hookster's couch. So I got myself an aero bed.
All right. Yeah, and his couch apparently is going in the museum in Holland, Michigan. And so
it is. You know, I mean, I think there's a certain element of just, you know, a sign of austerity. This isn't home. You know, this people back home. I kid you not. The three most common questions I got were: are you going to repeal health care? Are you going to stop spending and get the budget under control? And are you sleeping on your couch like Hoekstra did? Those were the top three questions I got in my entire campaign. So, yes, and yes to all of those.
Now, if you were to rent a condo or an apartment or something like that, would it come out of your congressional budget?
No, it's all personal funds.
Oh, okay.
So there's no taxpayer dollars that are either being spent or being saved. I don't pocket anything. There's no stipend. We don't get any kind of food stipend, and we don't get any kind of housing stipend. It's just our straight salary, and whatever we do, we pay for it out of that.
So you'd have to pay for it yourself if you went into, you know, Georgetown and got a loft or something like that.
Oh yeah, and I've had buddies that they looked around at apartments and stuff, and I don't know. I have a philosophical problem with me coming out here, renting an apartment for 2 or 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
That's somewhere between 1.5 and 2 times what my mortgage is back in New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, it's crazy out there. I mean, the real estate prices are just absolutely nuts.
Well, sleep well. You're going to get on the airplane today, I guess, and come back to Michigan?
Yep, we'll be on. There's a direct flight into Grand Rapids. I'll get in about 9:30 tonight, and we'll be off and running for tomorrow morning as well.
Well, we appreciate the effort and the sacrifice and the privilege that you have there to be a United States member of Congress. And travel safely, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, MPS. We'll talk to you soon. Now, there's a few things going on, so I'm looking forward to getting back on the air with you.
That'll be terrific. I know you've been getting settled in there and getting busy, and we'd like to speak very regularly with Bill Huizenga, the Republican from West Michigan, the President of the United States, yesterday in Marquette, Michigan, and the President of Northern Michigan University, Dr. Les Wong, was with him. Good morning. Thanks for being available this morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me again.
We'll just sit back and let you tell us the story of what it was like. What did you say to the President? What did he say? How did it all go?
Well, it was just a terrific visit. You know, I was fortunate enough to greet him at the university. We spent a little time talking about our wireless network, our students, and we, after that, we sort of took him up to the demonstration of hooking him up through teleconference to 2 distant schools, and he was led through a discussion with one of our student teachers who just did an incredibly good job. I'm so proud of our students. And then he came and joined a crowd in the Bannerman Arena, about 1,400 people, and just talked about the need for expanding broadband to 98% of the U.S. population.
What was he like? How did you find him?
You know, I didn't know what to expect. You know, he was just charismatic, charming, very well prepared, and asking questions. I'm glad I did my homework on some of the technical aspects of our network, because he was very, very interested in that.
Somebody said to me, I read it somewhere, that he popped around town a bit too, got some fudge, and spent some time mixing with the locals.
He did a surprise stop at one of our really local restaurants called Donkers. It's been there for over 100 years. The young owners, Tom and Jen Veer, were just totally surprised. I think the chef came barreling out of the kitchen and raced back in, and he said, "Well, I guess I'm the chef for the president right now." And it was kind of fun. He sort of mentioned to everybody that the Secret Service guy was getting in the way as he watched him put the sandwich together.
Yeah, boy, that would make you nervous, wouldn't it? To say, no, don't make any mistakes. This sandwich is going out to the President of the United States. Well, hey, you put Northern on the map, as you do all the time with the advanced technology, and now the President of the United States coming to Marquette and meeting with you, and we're happy for you, and thanks for sharing the experience with us. Not too many people get to meet firsthand like you did the President of the United States, and I'm sure it was a kick.
Oh, it was an honor and a privilege, and just enjoyable for all of us.
All right, Dr. Les Wong there, who is making Northern Michigan University really a national model to follow with the president and his broadband plans. It's 18 after the hour. We'll keep in touch, and we may see Dr. Wong next Friday if we're broadcasting from the UP 200. It's a dog sled race in Marquette. And so Friday morning, we may be with him in person there as we get ready for that Michigan tradition. It's 18 after the hour. The Attorney General is upset about the abuse of the marijuana law. We'll find out why in just a minute. It's Michael Patrick Shields. 25 minutes after the hour. Dave Coulier from Full House is back in Michigan. You'll be able to see him in person coming up shortly and listen to him on this program in just a couple of minutes. We're with Captain Kirk Squires is with us, too, and world correspondent Nikki Hale on this Friday morning. Great to see both of you.
Yep, morning.
The Michigan's Attorney General, the Bill Schuette, he just elected and inaugurated, and he's a little riled up about the marijuana law that we have here in the state of Michigan, It passed, it's medical marijuana, but he thinks people are abusing the system and effectively trying to legalize marijuana. He says, quote, they're making a mockery of the laws across the state of Michigan. And he said that he wants to work with the legislature to correct the law. He says it's poorly crafted, loosely written, and nobody really knows what's legal and what's not when it comes to medical marijuana, growing it. We have a shop right across the street here.
There's one every block. Come on, Bill. It's a plant. God put it on the earth. It's for us to consume.
We know where you stand then, Captain Kirk Squires. But there's a big neon leaf in the window across the street. It looks like a drugstore. I've never gone in there, but so we're all trying to sort of sort this out. Mm-hmm. So Nikki Hale, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Family Feud. Have you ever? You must have seen it, yes. Kirk Squires, where they have families guessing against each other. Mm-hmm. This took place on Family Feud, and you can watch it on Fox 47 or listen to this clip right here.
All right, guys, here we go. We got the top 6 answers on the board. Name something that gets passed around.
My sister.
Chris.
A joint.
A joint.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Now, Chris, I don't know what 100 people you thought we were talking to at some nice little mall across good old America, but I'm pretty sure the people didn't tell the survey people, hey, an illegal drug. Let's turn around and see how many weed heads are out there with Chris. A joint.
And 9% of the people answered a joint. It showed up 9 on the board. So here's what happens next.
This is when you know we're going to hell. Okay, Tracy, only 4 answers topic, so.
The collection plate at church.
Now she's got the halo, and I got the horns.
I like the way you tried to stop us from going to hell. You, Mr. You evil boy, passing around the little thing with this funny smell, looking for some saving here. Church plate.
And only 4% said the church plate. So
it's a mess like that the joint. This is not good. I'm just gonna you just go over there. They're gonna play this.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, well, Dave Coulier, born in St. Clair Shores, Michigan, and on the other end of our line. The truth is stranger than fiction sometimes, isn't it?
It certainly is. That's kind of how my morning has gone so far.
Yeah.
Dave, it's Captain Kirk Squires. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing,
God,
Kirk?
we haven't talked in a long time, man.
It's been a long time. It certainly has.
It's like 4 a.m. your time right now, isn't it?
Well, I'm actually here in Michigan. I'm here.
I know that.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be in studio with us this morning.
He's on the
Yeah,
phone.
somehow somebody dropped a ball somewhere, and I'm over at the radio station, and you guys are somewhere else. But we're talking. That's the good part.
We are in the Gillespie Group storefront studio, a couple blocks from the Capitol, and everybody knows that when you're talking about government and politics, it's always hilarious. We've never run out of material here in Michigan, but we're glad to have you back, and you're going to be at Connections Comedy Club starting tonight and tomorrow night, right?
Tonight, tomorrow night, 4 shows, 2 shows each night, and it's a hilarious, clean show.
A clean show, really?
It's a clean show, yeah.
It's
yeah.
Uncle Joey. It has to be.
Unlike my filthy Jewish sister, Bob Saget, my act has always been clean because I came up the ranks of the Tonight Show back in the days when Johnny Carson used to host, and if you wanted to get on the Tonight Show, you had to work clean. If you were at the Comedy Store or the Improv in Hollywood, and the Tonight Show talent coordinators were there, the last thing you wanted to be seen doing was a filthy set because you weren't going to get on the show if they saw you.
You know, I remember seeing, I worked for J.P. McCarthy, and that's when we first met a long time ago, when you were making Michigan proud, wearing that Red Wing jersey on television. And I remember the first time that I saw Soupy Sales. You know, I was a kid. I watched Soupy Sales when I was a kid, and I remember seeing his nightclub act when I became an adult. And I remember how shocking it was because it was not for kids.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think with Comedy Central and, there's so many outlets for stand-ups now that, a lot of stand-ups that are on TV now, it just, I think, has become part of our comedy vernacular, so to speak, that, working blue is the way, stand-ups work. And I've just, kind of always thought funny is funny, and you just don't need the F-bomb aftertaste,
I ran into John Stamos, if you can believe this, a couple of weeks ago on a Disney cruise down in Florida. And
I heard about the Disney cruise. Yeah, I talked to John about that.
Did you? And my son walks up to him and he says, "Can I get a picture with you?" And he was nice enough. He had sunglasses and a hat, but we recognized him. And he took the picture and he said, "Where are you from?" And we said, "Michigan." And he said, "Michigan? You're not from Marquette, are you?" And I said, No. He says, Nah, they're nice people up there. But he was a good sport about it.
Kirk, Dave, this is Kirk. We're on 12 radio stations around the state of Michigan, and since you're a Michigan guy, and I had lived out there for about 10 years, and that's when you and I used to hang out in Westwood and things like that. But
Kirk, did you date Alanis Morissette, Kirk?
No, I was just his sidekick.
I see.
His
wingman.
That was his wingman.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember one night Dave and I were in Westwood, and this was before Dave was just working at the Comedy Store with some other friends of ours. And people are always asking me, how did Dave get on Full House and, America's Funniest People and all that stuff. But, he just I think you should tell the story, Dave. You worked at Ridley's Place. You went out to California with there's a lot of other Detroit guys. Binder went, Joe Napodi, some other people like that. And back in the day, it was so different than it is now. I remember nights.
It's funny, like Jeff Daniels and all those guys went out to Hollywood. Now Hollywood seems to be coming to Michigan, Dave, because of our film tax credit.
It's so different.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for the state of Michigan. It's put a lot of people to work, and it's a thriving industry here, which is just great. And there's so many talented, creative people here in Michigan, and. In my travels, I always tell people that, so it's nice to see the state finally getting, some recognition for that.
Dave, is the Comedy Store still like it was? Because I was telling the other day to Michael here, I remember days when, people would be sleeping on Mitzi's floor at her house up there, and we would, there was one night we went to this place called Hoff's Hut down the street. I don't know if you remember, there'd be a big circular table there. And at that time, none of these guys had made it. And we'd be sitting there, and it would be Robin Williams and Gallagher and Saget and you.
And Squires.
Roseanne Barr.
That was a different time. It was, no one had really become a star yet, and I used to stand in the parking lot outside the Comedy Castle with Tim Allen, and we used to talk about, what would be the best job we could get in showbiz? And we both said, oh, man, we get a series, a sitcom. That would be the way to go.
And you did.
Yeah.
Did it prove to be true?
It has changed a lot. There's so many outlets, YouTube and, all of the internet, plays that you can get and, websites. And it's a changing world. Somebody can put up a goofy video and in one day become this huge internet sensation, Yeah, I'm starting to talk. Back in my day, we had to work. We had to tell the jokes to audiences that were live, not into an iChat camera. But it has changed, and and I think it's great. I think that it's great that people have so many different tools at their disposal to hone their craft.
We got about a minute left, and since you mentioned taking it old school, I got to ask you this question because I'm such a big fan. What was it like to be around Johnny Carson?
He really was very shy and really kept to himself. And the only thing he said to me, he knocked on my dressing room door before the show, and he said, "Have a good spot."
That's it.
That was it. Shook my hand, and boom, he was off.
Huh.
But everybody said, Johnny's very, very shy. So I can't say that I really knew him well.
Are you shy?
It depends what I'm wearing.
In the shower.
Have fun at Connections Comedy Club, and thanks for coming back to Michigan and not forgetting us. We'll never forget you, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks so much. Have
Dave
a great day, guys.
Coulier they say from Full House, but he's got a full life too, lots of other activities. And so see him at Connections Comedy Club if you're in the mid-Michigan area here on Friday and Saturday night. We'll continue. Michael Patrick Shields on Friday. With world correspondent Nikki Hale, and Kirk Squires is here, the captain, Kirk Squires, and Pepper Potts. No, that's Amanda Wall, our producer this morning. Google her. It is 20 minutes now before the hour. World correspondent. Nikki Hale has a lot of topics to get to today.
We do.
Let's bullet point these in BBC fashion, okay?
BBC
and
fashion.
Kirk Squires will add color commentary. Royal wedding update, please.
Okay, royal wedding update. The dress is just causing all kinds of fever in the fashion industry. Everybody wants to know who's going to be designing the wedding dress. The royal family clearly keeping quiet on that one. They don't want to cause distress to the actual designer. Name dropping all over the place. Is it somebody who did anything for Diana? Is it a person that designed anything that Diana wore when she was alive? Even Victoria Beckham's name is being dropped in there.
Really?
Probably not going to be a Victoria Beckham type person because that's going to overshadow the dress. So they're going to use somebody who's very good at wedding dress, I think, designing, but not anybody that's worldwide known. So,
and what is this business about the stepmom-in-law? They had lunch together?
Yes. Camilla took Kate out to lunch.
Is she the Duchess of Cornwall? Is that what her title is?
She is. And if you think about it, they're both future queens.
I guess, yeah.
Because Charles hasn't, abdicated
right.
if his mother is no longer queen.
Queen Camilla. Can you see it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Do people really care about this stuff?
Oh, we love it.
Yes,
we love it
do.
everywhere.
Yes. I can tell you who cares about it a lot here at the Today Show. They're all over it.
So Camilla and Kate
had lunch, yes, and apparently they didn't care if anybody overheard the conversation. They were chit-chatting away at a local restaurant. Camilla's son writes a restaurant review type column in England, and so they went to this one that he had reviewed quite well. And they had all kinds of little appetizer type meals, and there
Small
was
plates.
There obviously security with them, and but interesting combination of lunch dates there, I think.
Camilla said, if I can give you... Somebody heard Camilla saying, if I give you one bit of advice. Do you know what that was? If I can give you one bit of advice. But then they didn't hear what the advice was.
No, and what they were saying in regards to what the advice might have been is Camilla would know, because Camilla actually advised Diana prior to her wedding.
She did?
She did.
And then she stole her husband?
No
nice.
comment.
The royal family, this is why it's a soap opera all the time.
Right, there you go.
Let's see what. Should you not sleep with your spouse?
Well, you should. They're just saying that a good night's sleep is very beneficial to your health. And so if you have somebody who is disrupting your sleep, what can you do about that? Do you change some things up so that you are not disrupted by your partner? One of the suggestions is mattress. If you've got a really soft mattress, if somebody's moving, you really feel that movement. Separate duvets. Because if you're tugging, there's tug of war going on during the night to who gets the covers, separate duvets. So they're just saying that, love as you must, be with your partner in bed. Maybe think of some things to make sure that you are getting a full night's sleep.
Separate
it's
bedrooms.
very important.
Just do what I do. Separate bedrooms.
Is that what you do?
I couldn't do that.
You couldn't?
No. No.
Lucy and Ricky had separate beds, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, but I don't know you. But what about you, Amanda?
Oh no, I like him cuddling with me.
You talking about the dog or your husband?
My husband. I like to be smushed right in between.
You still have the
Gopher
dog
on
in-
one side and Mike on the other.
You do. She sleeps with her husband and the dog.
Yeah, I have the cat on my
Talk
bed,
about
yeah.
being disrupted.
I also sleep with 2 giant rice bags so that I stay warm.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? How romantic! 2 rice bags, a dog, and newlyweds. Okay.
Sounds like a porno.
I don't know. Sounds like they're
good one. Yes.
I've never. Malawians are voicing their opinions.
Yes, there's a bill coming out in Malawi, and basically what they're saying is you can no longer. I don't even know how to put this politely, Michael.
How would you say it in England?
Oh, we would say the word that's written right in front of you.
Go ahead and say it. Doesn't it?
It's a law against farting in public.
Okay, I'm all for that.
Okay, so it's not just covering that. It covers several different things. But what the Malawi public are saying is, A, how on earth do you police that? I mean, really.
Who
how-
did it?
Right.
It's the age-old question.
Right, exactly. I mean, how
In
do
the
you
elevator or
control
the
that?
airplane?
How do you control it?
My favorite thing to do is pull my finger. To my
Good point. And say he did
So
it.
they're saying it's a waste of money. You know, this bill is a waste of money, and I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, there's absolutely no way you can police.
Maybe
that.
it's an awareness thing, like
It's very rude in their country, and I can see that.
It's rude in any country, isn't it?
I don't know. Not in England.
No?
They have such a crude sense of humor. No. Yeah, so that was interesting. But coming back to England, David Beckham did a great deed over there with a stranded motorist who got stuck on the way to school run with his kids in the car.
That's a
and,
setup. That's a setup. It's a publicity stunt. I'm suspicious about all of it.
I don't think so. He's a nice guy.
Here's what, but I want to go back to this this Malawi thing. The quote is here. In some cases, it's like tear gas. Some do it silently. I mean, it's difficult to tell.
I just don't know how you could police it. Seriously,
Depends
I
on
mean,
what you ate the night before, too.
Yeah.
but
Are they going to
seriously, if you're
rat each
walking
other
in the
out?
street
Yeah.
and it happened,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do you say that it was that person and not the person walking behind you?
I don't know. It's worth a try, though, especially on airplanes and elevators and when you're stuck somewhere. I think
mean,
there should be a
trust me,
caning.
Anybody thinks it's pleasant by any means, but
World correspondent Nikki Hale and Captain Kirk Squires. It's Michael Patrick Shields, Ron Van Timmeren. We're going to try to. Is that Adam Sandler movie out this weekend?
Yes, we're going on Saturday.
You're going on Saturday. Ron Van Timmeren will
That
give us
does
the
look
preview of it coming up shortly. It's Michael Patrick Shields. Ron Van Timmeren, Celebration Cinemas. I was asking about the Adam Sandler movie. Is this the weekend it comes out?
Yes, sir. Michael Patrick, just go with it. Tracking numbers have it number 1 after the weekend is over. Of course, Valentine's weekend, it's kind of the romantic comedy first choice this weekend.
He's a bankable star, Adam Sandler, isn't he?
Yeah, and just as bankable are the bad reviews that follow it. But you're right, he's $100 million guaranteed. Just the question is how high is up for him. And of course, we've got a great cast this time. Jennifer Aniston plays his assistant. He plays a plastic surgeon. I think that actually would be more of a comedy. Adam Sandler in medical school. But anyway, Brooklyn Decker is the object of his affection. Also joining the cast, Nicole Kidman, Dave Matthews, Dan Patrick, Kevin Nealon, and more. A couple of his kids in this movie, too.
Okay, I'm going to ask you for a triple here, right? Are you ready? You know what I'm talking about, right? Jennifer Aniston. There you go. And how about Brooklyn Decker? And who did you say was the third one? Who else is in the movie?
There's Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. You're going to be a little stingy with your purrs. All right. We'll check it out for ourselves, though.
I think she's a mighty fine actress, but, she just doesn't do it for me like Brooklyn Decker does, okay?
That's why they make wallpaper.
That's right. Different choices.
By the way, Jennifer Aniston is 42 today. It's her birthday, so it's a good day for the movie to come out. And I think I mentioned earlier that Dennis Muchmore, the chief of staff for Governor Snyder, has a big crush on Jennifer Aniston. So he'd probably if he can get to the movies tonight when he's released from his cage down the street here, I'm sure he'd like to see that movie.
Good choice, good choice. Also, Romeo and Juliet, rated G, a little Toy Story, a little Shrek, a little Shakespeare about garden gnomes that come to life, and even the music of Elton John thrown in here. Voices of James McAvoy, Emily Blunt, Jason Statham, and Patrick Stewart doing Shakespeare. Also, Channing Tatum starring in The Eagle. Amanda probably likes Channing, I'm thinking.
She does.
This is sort of like Apocalypse Now, set in 140 A.D. when the Romans were basically conquering the world. And then, last but not least, the best reviews of the day, believe it or not, Michael Patrick, Justin Bieber, Never Say Never, 3D, his concert movie, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Entertainment Weekly, all giving it a good review. It's a shock.
All right, Ron Van Timmeren.
See you at the movies.
See you at the movies, too. Andy Hetzel is with us from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm 42, but I don't nearly look as good as Jennifer Aniston.
I don't know. You'd make a cute couple, I think.
Oh, thanks.
You are hot-footing it around the state today, and one of the reasons, I mean, your headquarters is in Detroit, but you have offices in Lansing and in Grand Rapids, and you get all around the state because you are trying to make health care and all of the features of Blue Cross accessible to everyone in the state. It's not always easy, though, is it?
No, but we're a statewide organization, Michael, and we have a mission that other insurance companies don't have, which is to provide access across the state to people in Michigan for their health care needs. And one of those markets is a little bit in peril now, and I'm here to talk to you about what's happening out in West Michigan with some of our Medicare Advantage members that have been a little bit shut out of one of the key hospitals in the region, which is Spectrum Hospital in Grand Rapids.
Why is that, and what will happen next?
Well, we recently, we've tried to get Spectrum Hospital in our Medicare Advantage PPO network for the past couple years, and we've known that they haven't obviously signed a contract to join the other 141 hospitals in Michigan that are part of that network. But our Medicare membership might not have known when they enrolled, and we've recently become aware of this. So we've sent letters to our Medicare Advantage PPO members, specifically in Kent County, but also in the outlying counties, informing them of Spectrum Hospital's unwillingness to participate in our Medicare Advantage PPO and what that means for them. Again, these are Medicare Advantage PPO members for Blue Cross. They're not Blue Cross Medicare Supplemental members. They're not Blue Care Network Medicare Advantage members. Those members can continue to receive in-network services at Spectrum. But our Medicare Advantage PPO members that go to Spectrum for non-emergency services are going to face higher copays and coinsurance costs because Spectrum is not participating in our PPO network for Medicare Advantage. And we wanted to inform those seniors, many of whom have limited incomes, that they're going to face higher charges if they go to Spectrum Hospital, which is a very respected institution in the community, a very important part of healthcare access
Big player.
in West Michigan. Yeah.
And that would be result in some unpleasant surprises for people.
It would, and it's important for seniors to understand that they can continue to access emergency care at Spectrum Hospital, and if they have an emergency, they should go to the nearest emergency room, call 911 certainly. But the problem is that once you get into the emergency room, if you're admitted to the hospital and you have to stay there for any length of time, you're going to face higher out-of-network costs for that hospital stay. And we're concerned because a lot of these seniors and persons with disabilities who have our Medicare Advantage PPO have limited means. The premiums for the Medicare Advantage product that we offer in West Michigan are very affordable. So a lot of these folks have limited means, and we're concerned about their ability to afford the hospital bill once it comes back to them.
Are negotiations ongoing with Spectrum?
We hope so. We've been engaged in conversations, and we hope that they come aboard. That's what we really want to try to achieve, a full safety net for seniors in West Michigan.
Simple, not complicated, no foibles and tricks.
No, and there's no financial advantage or disadvantage for Spectrum to join our network. They're going to get paid the same regardless of if they're in or out. So really the only financial disadvantage is to the seniors who are vulnerable.
Will you let us know the outcome?
We will.
Thank you very much. Andy Hetzel, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, always concerned about your health and the safety net for all of us in the state of Michigan with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Television viewers, thanks for being with us. Radio listeners, stay right there. There's another hour coming your way right after the news.
But hey, I say...